Hello, grade 5, how are you? In this lecture, we're going to learn how to add, how to subtract, and how do we multiply decimal numbers. So at the end of this lecture, you will be able to add decimal numbers, to subtract, and to multiply decimal numbers. So let us first start with adding and subtracting decimal numbers, and there are two easy steps. First, you have to line up the decimal points, then you have to put zeros in the blank space to help you see what you are adding. Before I start with decimals, I just want to remind you how do we add numbers. So suppose, for example, you have 64 plus 23. How do you add those two numbers? Easy step, you just line up them, the ones under the ones, the tens under the tens, and you start adding from right, so 4 plus 3 is 7, to left, 6 plus 2 is 8. And for example, if you have 123 plus 46, also this is very easy. You put 123 and you put 46. You place them, the ones under the ones and the tens under the tens, and you start adding from right to the left. Now what if I have decimal numbers? So look at these two decimal numbers. We have 24.3 plus 18.45. You put the first number, which is 24.3. And then you have to know that you have to line up the decimal points. What's the meaning of lining up the decimal points? Means you have to put the point under the point. So the second number here, it's 18.45. So you place them like this, 0.45. You have, just to remind you, the point under the point. Okay? And now you start adding. Before you add, you have to pay attention that you have empty spaces. Like here you have nothing. You have to know that all empty places are replaced by 0. So you put here 0 and now you start adding. So 0 plus 5 is 5. 3 plus 4 is 7. Point, you just put it directly in its place. 4 plus 8 it's 12, so you put 2 and 1 in hand. Now 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 it's 4, so it's 42.75. So easy steps. The first step, you have to put the point under the point. The second step, whenever you have empty places, you have to fill them with 0. Let us do the same thing with subtraction. So suppose we have 18.62 minus 3.8. You start with 18.62. Now you place the point under the point, so 3.8. All empty places are filled with 0. And now you start subtracting from right to left. 2 minus 0, it's 2. 6 minus 8, it's not possible, so we borrow from the 8. It becomes 7, and this becomes 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. Now you put the point directly under, and now 7 minus 3 it's 4, and 1 minus 0 it's 1, so it's 14.82. So when adding, don't forget to carry. So sometimes you must put 1 in hand, sometimes you need to borrow. Okay, so when subtracting, sometimes you're going to borrow, and when adding, sometimes you have to put numbers in hand, so you just put them even if we have point. Okay, also if you are adding numbers like 20, which doesn't have a point, plus 4.02. Now the question is, I told you that you have to put the point under the point, but the 20, it doesn't have any point. So what do I do in this case? You have to know that all numbers have decimal point. All the numbers, they have decimal point, even if you can't see it. For example, $15, you can write it as $15.0. So any number standing by itself, like 5, like 12, like 13, like 100, all of these are decimals because you can just add 0.0 to the number, so it becomes a decimal number. So here we have 20 plus 4.02. So you have to know that 20, it's actually 20.0. And now you place the point under the point, 4.02. All empty places are filled with 0. And now you can add 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. The point, you just put it directly under. 0 plus 4, it's 4, and 2 plus 0, it's 2. Now the same thing we're going to do in subtraction. So 100, you have to know that 100, it's 100.0. Now the point under the point, so we have 25.783. Before subtracting, every empty place is filled with 0. And now you can subtract. Can you do 0 minus 3? Of course not. So you need to borrow. As I told you before, sometimes in subtraction you need to borrow. So I borrow from the 1, it becomes 0, and it gives 1 to the number which is directly beside it, it becomes 10. Then we borrow, it becomes 9. It gives the 1 to the number which is directly beside it, it becomes 9. It gives to the number beside it, it becomes 9, and so on until I reach this number. Now 10 minus 3, it's 7. 9 minus 8, it's 1. 9 minus 7, it's 2. The point is placed directly. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 2, it's 7. And 0 minus 0, it's 0. So it's 74.217. So guys, till now we have learned two things. That when adding and subtracting, you have to put the point under the point, and every empty place is filled with 0. And the second thing we have learned that all numbers, they are decimals, because you can add 0.0 for all the numbers. Okay, so remember, when you are borrowing, you can't borrow from nothing. So make sure you borrow all the way over to the first number, as we did in this number. Okay, so don't forget 100, it's 100.00. Of course, here we have a lot of exercises. I just advise you to pause this video. Try to practice them by your own, because in the live session I'm going to solve them. Now I'm just going to pick randomly two of them, one addition and one subtraction, to do it. And I advise you to do all the rest alone. And in the live session I'm going to solve it. Let us start with the first one, 2.89 plus 1.5. So the point under the point, so 1.5. Every empty place is filled with 0, and now you can add. 9 plus 0, it's 9. 8 plus 5, it's 13. So 1 in hand. The point is placed directly. 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, it's 4. So it's 4.39. I'm going to do one subtraction also. 100 minus 2.66. So 100, it's 100.0. Don't forget, all the numbers are decimals. 2.66, and now all the empty places are filled with 0, and now you can subtract. And don't forget that you have to borrow from the 1 and go all the way to the 0. Okay? Now we reach the third part of the lesson, which is multiplication of decimals. Now we have different way to multiply the decimals. It's not like adding and subtracting, because in multiplication I don't care about the order of the points. So I just multiply them, and then when I'm done, I will teach you where do you put the point. But till now, the first step is never ever line up the point under the point, because I don't care about the point. What I'm trying to say is, suppose we have, so don't worry about the decimal until you are done multiplying. First multiply, and then I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to take a different example. I'm going to take, suppose we have 13 times 1.2. Or let me choose first one digit. I'm going to choose 3 times 1.2. So if I want to multiply them, I just put them like this randomly. I don't care if I have points under the points. And I start multiplying. 3 times 2, it's 6. 3 times 1, it's 3. So now I'm done from multiplication. When I'm done from multiplication, I count, or I circle the decimal part. This is the decimal part. So how many digits do I have in the decimal part? Only one digit. So I go like this, and here's the point. I'm going to take another example. Suppose we have 16.35 times 4. Okay? So I just put them like this, times 4, without caring about the points. 4 times 5, it's 20. 2 in hand. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 it's 25. And 4 times 1, it's 1, plus 2 is 6. Okay? Now after multiplying, circle the decimal part. How many digits do I have in the decimal part? 2 digits. So I go back 2 digits, and here's the point. Okay, so they are very easy step. First multiply. After you are done, count up the places to the right of the decimal part, and then put the decimal in the answer. Now what if I have 2 digits? Like for example, in this case, I have 3.51 times 1.4. Okay, so I don't care about the order. So 3.51 times 1.4. Let us start with the 4. 4 times 1, it's 4. 4 times 5, it's 20. 4 times 3, it's 12. Plus 2, it's 14. So we are done from the 4. Don't forget that we put a 0 when we start multiplying with the second digit. 1 times 1, it's 1. 1 times 5, it's 5. 1 times 3, it's 3. And now I'm going to add them. 4, 1, 9, 4. When we are done, we circle the decimal part. Here I have a decimal part, and here I have a decimal part. So how many digits in all? 3 digits. So I go back 1, 2, 3. This is the point. 4.914. So the first thing you have to do is to multiply by 4. Then you multiply by 1. And then you add the numbers. Circle the decimal part in both numbers, then move the point. Now here we have some tricky exercises. Like for example, suppose you have 2.3 times 0.0002. Do I multiply them all? Like 0.0002? No, I just multiply the 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. And now you circle the decimal part. Count the number of digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go back 5 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the point. So what about the empty places? I just replace them by zeros. So it's 0.00046. I'm going to do another example. Like suppose you have 5.7 times 0.0006. I just multiply the 6, okay? So 0.0006. 6 times 7, it's 42. 6 times 5, it's 30. Plus 4, it's 34. And now I circle the decimal part and I count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the point. What about the empty places? 1, 2, 3 zeros. So it's 0.00342. So this trick actually helps you do the calculation faster. Also, this exercise, I advise you to do it by your own. And I'm going to solve it, of course, in the live session. And I'm just going to pick one of them to solve it. Like I'm going to choose this one. Okay? So 8.02 times 2.1. I just place them without caring about the order. 1 times 2, it's 2. 1 times 0, it's 0. 1 times 8 is 8. Plus, don't forget that you put here a 0 and you start multiplying by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Now add them up. 2, 4, 8, 6, 1. Circle the decimal part. Here we have 2 digits and here we have 1 digit. So in total we have 3 digits. So I go back 1, 2, 3, and here's the point. So the number is 16.842. I wish you understood the lesson. So we have learned how do we add and subtract and how do we multiply decimals. So if you still have any question, don't forget that we have our live session, so you can ask me there.